Jai Hind everyone. Uh, Today I am going to discuss the Unit 1 topic bootstrapping in compiler design. You are all aware that it is very important topic because when you are going to design any compiler, how you have to generate the basic compiler, then how you can generate the cross compiler. Basically, this is the interface compiler in between two different machines, and then how to generate a full language compiler. So that is very important topic. Although some mathematical formulations is provided to generate such type of compilers, and it is very important because it is happened during the process of compilation, which is not visible to end user or any developer. But whatever mathematical formulation is there, we have to just discuss that how this particular bootstrapping process will be happening. In this lecture, I am going to discuss this bootstrapping and compiler construction toolkit. Okay, what is compiler construction toolkit? Whatever the process of compiler that is divided into different phases, and these phases will just generate some intermediate outputs, which is output for one particular phase and input for next phase, and that synchronization is there. So for that, at every phase, some tools are working. By using that tool, you may just take the input and passed to that tool and getting the output. So that compiler construction toolkit is the collection of tools which is working on different phases. So now if you're talking about bootstrapping, so you will see that compiler is a complex program and should not be written in assembly language because it is intermediate state, because the compiler provide runtime environment that provides runtime environment, and then you have to just take input and with this target code and then generate the output. So how to write compiler for a language in the same language first time? Whatever language you have taken for executing the particular program, how you can write the compiler in that language? So first time this experiment was done for Lisp. Lisp is a very old language. So initially Lisp was used as a notation for writing functions. So in Lisp, functions will be writings. Functions were then hand translated into assembly language and executed. So firstly, you have to write the function, then you have to use some mathematical formulation or some computational methods, then translate it into the low level language. So McCarthy wrote a function evaluation E. Evaluation is a particular function. E is particular argument in Lisp that took a Lisp expression E as an argument. You have to pass E as an argument, and E is expression. Expression, maybe it is having 3 address code, 2 address code, some binary operator is there, some output is there. So the function was later hand translator and became an interpreter for Lisp. So that very old phenomena is there, but now the time these are happening in very automatic mode. So what is bootstrapping? So here one problem is given. There is a architecture, existing architecture, that is x86 compiler, GCC x86 compiler, that is C language, written in C language, and x86, that is another. And what is new architecture you want to generate? That is x335. So one compiler is available, second compiler is available. By the help of these compilers, you can generate the particular compiler for x335, which means if you are writing that, definitely that would be written as generate code for x335 and runs on x335, means the written code will be also x335. So you have to generate the new compiler with the help of available compilers. So there are 2 languages. One is existing architecture and second one is C compiler. So existing architecture is available and you have to generate the compiler for another machine. So if you're seeing the total process, initially you have to bootstrap some simple compilers. Which compiler is called simple or basic compiler, which is basically designed by using source language. So simple compiler is that which is designed by using source language. Complex compiler is what? Which is designed by the target language. The important part means if you are talking about low level language, definitely the compiler's complexity will be more. If you are talking about high level language, the complexity will be easy because system facilitates lot of things through which you can interpret that data. So this is the process of bootstrapping. So how to develop C's X335? If you want to develop some new compiler by using some existing compiler, how to develop? So first important thing, write a C compiler in C that emits X335 code. So because C compiler is already available, so we have to use the bootstrapping process, and by using this process, firstly we have to generate the particular compiler that generate the code for X335. You may call this compiler as cross compiler. So what is cross compiler? Cross compiler is what that generates the code for another machine that runs on different machine and generate the code for another machine. That is basically called the cross compiler. Like if you have language A and B, suppose you have two machines A and B, and the source language is basically L. So if you're talking about cross compiler, basically this compiler is basically CLAB. That is called cross compiler. This particular language is source language. This language is target language. This language is implementation language. So three kind of languages are used to generate a compiler, and you will generate this particular, you will represent this particular compiler by using this T diagram where source language, object code and implementation language. So this particular cross compiler is very important for generating a full language compiler of different machine using some existing machine. So that would be happen here. Write a C compiler in C that emits X335 code, compile using GCC x86 on S86 machine, because we are talking about C and S86 machine. We have a C compiler that emits X335 code but runs on X86, not X335. That is the complexity. If you are generating that, so the implementation language would be X335, but runs on X86. Whatever the previous machine you have taken, that would be runs. Here cross compiler plays a very important role. If you see some another language, we have CC S86 S335 compilers runs on X86, generated code runs on X335. Compile the source code of C compiler with this particular thing. There it is. The output is a binary that runs on X335. This binary is the desired compiler CC X335. But still, the implementation language is different. The object code will be generated, but still the implementation language is different. That's why it is not called the complete compiler or full language compiler of that particular machine. Now, what is bootstrapping? I have already told. If you're talking about, because previously I'm just providing some background about that bootstrapping. So you will see that if you're talking about compiler, then it is characterized by three languages. I have already told you the source language, that would be called S. Here the interpretation. The target language, that would be called T, and the implementation language, that would be called I. So three languages S, I and T can be quite different. Such a compiler is called cross compiler. If these particular three languages is different, then definitely it is called cross compiler, because if object code language is different, if implementation language is different, and if source language is different, definitely it is called a cross compiler, because the object code is run on different machine and generated code for different machine. So implementation language is different because you will see that the implementation language is different and the object code generation language is also different. So if I represented that I have already told you, it is represented by this T diagram. Okay, and if you write that, here the representation is taken because different representations are used in different particular books. So someone is using like this, which is written over here. Someone is using this like STI, compiler of source language, target language, and implementation language. So that is the representation. But this T diagram is very important because if you are going to apply the process of bootstrapping, definitely some particular criteria is there through which if you have two compilers and they all have these particular three languages, definitely you have to decide that which compiler is first compiler, which compiler is second compiler, and how you can start that bootstrapping process. So I'm going to detail all the things in next particular PPTs. Write a cross compiler for a language L in implementation language S to generate code for machine N. So here one process is given. That is basically bootstrapping process. If you will see that, what is bootstrapping process? Here what is given, one compiler is basically available. Their source language is L, the machine is capital N, and their implementation language is S. The first compiler is that. The second compiler is full language compiler for machine S. It is basically partial because S is the subset of L. L is the complete source language, S is the partial source language, means some of the part has been taken for this particular process. So CSMM means the source language is partial language of L, runs on M machine, and their implementation language is also M. So you will see that these particular two compilers are not the complex compiler. These are basic compilers. So in mathematical form, you have to consider these basic compilers. You don't need to generate, you don't need to give any description for this particular compilers. But when you are going to generate any complex compilers, definitely you have to show this bootstrapping process, because without bootstrapping, we cannot create any complex compiler by using these basic compilers. So you will see that if these two particular compilers are bootstrapped, then we are getting a cross compiler, CLNM, that generates CLNM. So that is the cross compiler. You will see that it is runs on N machine and generate object code for, runs on M machine and generate object code for N machine. But how you will applying this bootstrapping? So you will see that diagram. In that diagram, this is the condition. The first compiler's implementation language must match with second compiler's source language. So that is the condition to decide the first compiler and second compiler. Everywhere you will see that these two things will be matched. Then that particular first compiler source language and object code will be directly transferred to next compiler, and the implementation language, whatever target code of second compiler, that would be transferred as a implementation language of output compiler. So this process will show that how cross compiler will be generated. So here details is given. Existing compiler for S runs on a different machine M and generates codes for M. That is basically second compiler. When compiler LSN, this one, will be bootstrapped through CSMM, then we are generating this compiler that is called cross compiler. Means we have generated the intermediate compiler. Now, if you are applying bootstrapping process again and again, we will get the full language compiler. That is, if you are talking about for M language or for N language, the full language compiler is basically LNN for N language and LMM for M language. For M machine, you can say it M machine or language, whatever you try to call, because machine when involved, because in compilation some part is hardware related, but that is not covered up to the compiler part. Compiler will just resolve all the issues related with the runtime environment. But still, if some requirement at the hardware level is generated, definitely it will be also addressed, but up to some extent. That is not the focused area of the compiler. So focused area of the compiler is only the whatever software level implementation is there. Okay, so that one is the first process. Now this cross compiler is a complex compiler. You must need to apply this bootstrap for generating that cross compiler. You cannot write cross compiler directly. Then what will happen here? One another particular cross compiler, the example given. So first language is which source language is equation, prof is object code, C the implementation language is C. Similarly, second one you will see that the implementation language and source language of both the compilers will be same. Then PDP-11 is another language. That is basically a full compiler of this particular language, but C is the partial part. So that is full compiler. Now if you are just bootstrap these particular, you will get this, the particular compiler which is runs on PDP-11 and generate code for prof. So this is the example for generating the cross compiler. You may apply the whole process. You may take some 2 machines, then generate some basic compilers, then applying this bootstrap. After that you will generate some cross compiler. Again you are applying this bootstrap, then generating the full language compiler like this CLN or CLM. Now how you will generate, because this is the cross compiler, you will see that if you are generating this cross compiler, definitely by helping this cross compiler, you will see that the particular N machines compiler is there, then a cross compiler is there. If you are using these 2 compiler, you are able to generate the compiler which is the represent the full machine compiler or full language compiler. So that compiler is generated for a machine for incompletion. That is the basically called complex compiler. It is also a complex compiler. That's why we need this bootstrap process. If you are not applying bootstrap process, we are not able to generate this full language compiler. So that is the bootstrapping process. And what is our role? We are able to understand that which compiler is basic compiler, means for which compiler we can directly generate the compiler, and for which compiler we have to need to apply this bootstrap process so that we will getting that complex compiler. So if you are using 2, 3, 4 steps of this bootstrapping, you will generate a compiler. Like in this particular part, you will see that 2 machines is taken, M and N. What they have done? They considered, firstly, they have generated the complete compiler for machine M. Then again, by using N machine, they have generated the cross compiler which runs on M and generated code for N. That is basically second step. Then by using this cross compiler, they are able to generate the complete compiler of N language. So this bootstrapping process is very helpful to generate the compilers for the full languages, and that is very important process. But you are able to understand because at the machine level number of operations is there, but mathematically if you are applying this process, that is also converted into different logics, and then the particular bootstrapping process will be executed. So number of examples given in that. So you will see that multiple all particular means start with this basic compiler of N, then this is also a basic compiler of N, then generating the M language full compiler. With the help of these 2 compilers, generated the cross compiler, and with the help of cross compiler, they generated the full compiler of different machine. So that is the complete picture. So what you have to be taken care during deciding the compilers, how you can understand that this is basic compiler and this is the complex compiler. So the important phenomena is that whenever source language is involved, that is called L, means if high level language is involved in your compiler, and the implementation language and source language will be governed by that particular source language, then these are called basic compilers. When machines are involved, definitely this is called the complex compiler. So at the time of bootstrapping, you must be having some idea to basic compiler and to complex compiler, because the bootstrapping process is required to generate the complex compiler. Basic compilers you may just assume and start that. So this is the important point, and this is the complete picture for bootstrapping. Now some examples are there. We wish to have a Pascal compiler for a new processor M. M is the machine. So some process is given, how you can generate that. Firstly, source language compiler will be generated for M, then complete language compiler is generated, okay, for source language N, then complete language N for P machine, that is basically L compiler. So here the second possibility is there. Now the third possibility, you may generate this. So basic objective is to generate the PMM, means the full language compiler for machine M. So this different examples are associated with this PPT. Now I am going to discuss compiler construction. So if you are concluding the bootstrapping, many compilers undergo a long chain of bootstrapping steps. For example, XPL, a dialect of PL1, programming language 1 is a language first was written first in Algol, then in XPL, and ported to a B5500 and then an IBM 360. 8 bootstrapping steps were required. So whatever different technologies will be evolved, different bootstrapping process, because if multiple language will be interfacing with each other, synchronizing with each other, and we have to transfer the whole particular phenomena to other language, because the most of the things syntactic structure will be same and they are mostly doing the same work for every language. So bootstrapping is very helpful, and this is the practical example for that. There 8 bootstrapping steps will be taken to shifting the particular XPL to PL1, XPL Algol to XPL to B5500 and IBM 360. So that is a basic example for that. Now compilers of the 21st century, whatever the improvement in compilation process that will be given, overall structure of almost all the compilers is similar to the structure we have discussed, because the process will not change. Process will be same, only the components are changed and they might be more evolved. So our efforts will be less and we have to add on some new things in that process. The proportion of the effort have changed since the early days of compilation. Earlier front end phases were the most complex and expensive parts. So that is very important. Today back end phases are optimization dominate all other phases. Front end phases are typically a smaller fraction of the total time. So these are the constraints which we have found during the whole science era, will find during evolution of these compilers. Now we have to discuss compiler construction toolkits. So you will see that there are total 7 phases if you are talking about. So this scanner generator will be working on lexical analysis. Parser will be working on syntax analysis. Syntax directed in translation engines will be used semantic and intermediate code generation. These are the tools related to phases. Then automatic code generators are using during code generation phase. Data flow analysis is used during code optimization phase. And the compiler construction toolkit is the combination of all these 5. That is basically called compiler construction toolkit. So scanner generator is what doing? It takes character stream or source language as input and generate tokens, that is called meaningful sequences. Like if a program is made with identifier, because whatever computational component is there, we have to just find out that, because when we are going to compute the particular value, definitely we will require some variables, their conditional statements, which whatever mathematical part is there, that is computational part is there, we have to find out. That is very important, because in compilation, runtime environment will be provided for the calculation, and after that you are giving the input for runtime moment and you will get the output. So first phase is that lexical analysis, and the particular tool is Lex scanner generator. You can say that Lex is a scanner generator in which we are able to find the tokens, that is called meaningful sequences, like identifier, keyword, operators, because if you are making any particular expression, you will get all these things for calculations. So that all are separated by scanner generator. Then parser generator, what they are doing? They basically provide the mathematical calculation background by using the tree, because when you are designing the tree, in that tree operator and then their operands are associated, and at the operator, the operation will be involved, some values generated and transferred to next particular and treated as a operand. So that all will be happens through tree diagram, because when you are representing a tree, definitely that tree diagram will having some computational process through which you can understand how the particular expression will be executed. So parser generator is generally used context free grammar, and lexical analyzer is generally used the basically regular grammar. Then syntax directed translation engine. Obviously, whatever statement you are taking, that is a particular type of statement. Some statement is assignment statement, some statement is like conditional statement, some looping construct is there, some array is there, some pointers are there. So a lot of statement categories are there. If you are taking Boolean expression, that is different kind of expression. So whatever type of expression, their execution is definite. Whenever using Boolean expression, their execution is definite. Whenever you're using some relational operator, their execution is definite. So whatever definite executions are there, this particular syntax directed translation engine, they provide the execution of 3 address codes. Means the particular register, if you're calculating any particular expression like x equals to y plus z into t, suppose this is the expression, you cannot calculate this expression in one go, because BODMAS is there. Firstly, you have to find out which operator is having a higher priority. Then you have to choose that operator with 2 operands. Firstly, execute that. Then the whole particular value is stored in one places, then one another. So you will see that only 3 address codes are used at that moment. So 3 address codes, for solving these kind of 3 address codes, so that the machine is able to execute every particular statement in one go. For conversion is that called basically using this syntax directed translation engine, and the output is basically intermediate code. Then automatic code generations will generate the code for assembly languages and the languages related to final object code. So you will see that this syntax directed automatic code generators and the next global data flow analysis, it convert the program in different formats. Means the data will be changed during these particular process. So this is also a tool. Then data flow, it is used for code optimization, how the flow of data is through the whole program, what effects they generated to the program. When one variable is there, their value is changed. So all these things are covered by data flow analysis engine. And the integrated set or complete set of these particular tools is called compiler construction toolkits. So if you are taking source program as input, definitely by using compiler construction toolkits, you will get a object code, which is the objective of compiler. So this is also a particular part which having different tools associated with different phases and generated different intermediate representation, and which these intermediate representations are very much required to process the whole compilation program. So this is today from my side. Thank you very much.